does, Carter. Okay, thank you all so much for coming to the jam. Welcome. Mike, Carter, he's up there somewhere.
Hello.
Rosie, Wyatt.
Hi.
Hello, welcome everybody. We're going to go around real fast and say some things about ourselves and get to know each other, but we get to do this in wire recording at the Mosaic Sound Collective here in Austin, Texas. And we had a bunch of stuff donated to us today from Loudmouth Rentals, and I want to make sure that all of those people get their names blasted out there. First and foremost, my name is True. I'm playing guitar today, at least in the beginning here, as long as I can hold on to it. I've been playing for 20 years, and I'm recovering from being in a band currently. Yeah, that's me. Mike, what's up?
My name is Mike, and I've been playing drums for about 10 years now, and it's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of really cool things that have happened, and a lot of really shitty things that have happened, and it's kind of everywhere in between. What about you, Rosie?
Well, I'm Rosie, and today I'll be playing bass. I've been playing for about 13 years now, and yeah, just doing the whole thing, and it's a lot of fun, and I would like to continue to do it.
Hell yeah. My name's Wyatt. I've been playing trumpet for about 10 years. Currently in a band, which is really fun, stressful at times, but ultimately really fun, and I love music.
Sweet. Thank you guys for being here. This space, we're going to ask you all and the listeners to keep this place sacred. We are playing music in a way that is a lot sexier and also a lot more dangerous than normal, which is improvisationally.
Yeah.
And basically that means is that we're not coming to the table with anything. We're just kind of going to fill each other out and figure out what that sounds like. We have a couple different things we're going to do and talk about. There's a couple different jams that we're going to kind of get into. And but the first one, as I feel, and I think Mike agrees, is the foundation of music is rhythm. I think you could make a strong case that it also could be melody, but it's rhythm in our books. And so I asked Mike to start the first jam with just some rhythm.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I think that's the foundation is because the melody kind of rests on top of the rhythm. And for me personally, anyway, it was easier to feel the melody where it needs to go. After I developed a rhythmic foundation, everything just kind of fell into place after that. But yeah, let's see. Let's go and start this right here.
Oh.
I think. Oh yeah.
Metronome.
Metronome,
Right.
115
That's nice. I appreciate
BPM.
that.
So I read somewhere that 80 to 115 BPM is generally hip hop. So I like, practicing at those tempos.
I'm excited for Wyatt to rap.
All right. Sorry.
Oh, thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for that. Nice back massage. Mike, where did we start in that? Do you even remember?
No. So the thing I love practicing, the reason I love practicing is the metronome now. And I'm doing a jam like that, especially practicing to a metronome. I have to listen to y'all, but also anchor to the metronome. And it's this internal pull sometimes, which it feels really fun and crazy. I don't know. It's kind of this internal struggle to stay in time with the beat, but also to maintain like a perfect groove. That's the challenge of the metronome, and I don't know. That's why
You described a feeling. You described a pull.
Yeah.
The pull. I think we should take a moment and kind of describe that feeling. It's kind of an internal feeling where the beat is like this kind of merry-go-round or revolutionary kind of feeling, and then your feeling is not in sync with it. And you can feel that pulling you towards the beat. I feel it most when I start drifting away from Rosie and you, right? Because you guys are chugging along on your own rhythm, and I'm trying to fill in the spaces between, and then I start getting lost, and it's like, oh, it's like when the water goes out at the beach, under your feet or something.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment and introduce a friend of ours, Charles. How you doing, Charles?
Hi, Charles.
Charles doesn't have a mic, but he's here and he's having a good time. He was nice enough to go and run and get supplies, which we have, guys. So let's take a
Yay.
minute and scrunch some bags on microphones.
Yay! Bag front.
I'm just going to go ahead and open them all so they're nice. It's all done. We don't have to worry about it anymore. The next, I wonder if anybody can even hear me over these bags, guys. The next segment is called The Wheel of Influence.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Wheel of Influence.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
So, the Wheel of Influence is basically just everyone's going to spin the wheel. It's going to land on something, and then you have to comment about that phrase or question or idea in relation to how it influenced you as a performer, you as a musician, you as an artist, etc.
Cool.
I'll do the first one.
Okay.
Let's wonder if it makes a noise. Hold on.
Is there a Wheel of Influence app?
Not yet. We're working
Can
on
I-
it.
yeah,
We've been
can we-
developing
can
it
we,
all morning. Yep. So I'm going to try to spin it. Ready?
Oh, shit.
A hell gig story.
Oh, no.
That'd be good.
Okay. All right. This story is going to be about, I'm going to hand this to you, Wyatt. So you'll be the next one. It's got a little handhold on it. This is going to be a story about realizing the value of professionalism as it pertains to you as a musician. We played this place called the Milestone. Is that what it's called? The infamous Milestone, I think it's called, on the East Coast. And I'll put it like this. The first time I went to the venue, it's a bar, they had $1 24-ounce cans of PBR.
Jesus.
I don't know how they get away with that. And I went to take a piss in the bathroom. Don't know if it was men or women specific. I don't know if they had more than one bathroom. I don't know. I just always found this one bathroom. I open the door. It has no handle. You gonna come in, close the door behind you, and I am looking at the toilet, and there is tied to the loopholes where a seat is supposed to be, no seat, right? Just the holes, right? Is a shoestring and a G.I. Joe tied by his foot, and he's just gargling in the bottom of the bowl, just going into the hole, and I'm like, oh my God. And luckily he wasn't covered in crap or something. And then you had to piss on him, which you feel kind of bad about.
Aww.
Until you flush it, that's pretty funny. And then I thought that was really weird. We played there, we came back, I don't know, a year later, sometime later, guys still in the thing. And again, I think we played there 3 times or something, or a couple times, and he was always there, which is amazing. That's not the hell gig. We decided to do this short tour to hit very specific cities, and we decided to start at this club because this band that we played with in that area called 21st Century Goliath was like a total new age cock rock band, and they would remember those cans of beer. The lead singer of the band had a gas-powered, pretty sure gas-powered leaf blower that he had made so he could stuff a 24-ounce can of beer in it, and it would spray the beer out. He would be like, "Well," and they'd be like, "Woo-loo-loo," and then he would just spray the whole crowd with beer. And that was this kind of gig this is.
Oh, God.
And so, and it was discussed previous to us getting there, is he gonna bring the leaf blower beer thing? Is that gonna be there? Because it should be, Their guitar player was getting out of jail. He'd been in jail for many years. And so they're throwing a
better.
really big party at this bar.
And he made it just in time. to
They
get to
asked
that
us
gig.
to play the party, and we're like, okay, and that's pretty much why we designed the tour around being able to play this gig, because it's such an insane place. The guys in that band are totally crazy and awesome, and really fun and very hospitable. We can the guy has a nice house we can stay in and all this other stuff. So we decided to drive all the way out to the East Coast and go to this gig. We show up. It was 27 hours we had to drive straight in order to get there. We got there 30 minutes before our sound check time. It was, or 10 minutes or something. And we sound check, played. After we played, we had been driving the whole time. We were all insane. We'd been like chugging coffee, driving through the night to get there, and we started drinking, obviously, at that point. And somehow the other guitar player, me, and our tour manager got it in our head that we wanted to take the couch that was in their backyard area and put it on the roof of the place next door so we could chill up there and listen to the music. And so we did that. We got it all the way on the roof. And then the owner of the club, or somebody like that, who had very serious authority, who did the like classic dad, like you're in trouble dad move, where he's like, "What do you guys think you're doing up there?" And we're like, "Ah!" And we all scattered like roaches. And the tour manager slipped. He had boots on because he's from Texas. It's a metal roof or something.
Oh,
slips,
no.
falls off, breaks his collarbone, or breaks his arm. I think one of the bones in his arm. And he's a drummer, and he's a really good drummer, or maybe his wrist. I think it may be his wrist. And so this is show one of the tour, and we had like a hired bass player. This kid who was going to play with us, I think his name was Chris, and we then got banned for life from the club, couldn't go back in. We had loaded out everything but our drummer's snare. He had to give the snare up. The guy's like, "No." And we're like, "Come on, he's got a snare." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here." Like, "Rah." Yeah. Shit. And so, yeah, it was really... Adam was stuck inside the club and felt so uncomfortable because the guy came up to him and was like, "What the fuck's wrong with your band?" All this other stuff. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give him a talking to." And then he was like yelling at me and winking. And I'm like, he's like, "Do we have all our gear, you motherfucker?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Let's just get out there mad." I'm like, "Okay." Like, our bass player, half of us went to the band house, half of us went to the hospital. The guys who went to the band house, the bass player was just like, "Take me to the airport." We're like, "What?" He's like, "Just take me to the airport or I'm going to get out and just take a cab." And we're like, "Really?" He's like, "I'm getting out of here. This is too much." And then just went to the airport and flew home.
Whoa.
Left his gear, left everything, just like, "I'm out." And then like, beast. And we did the rest of the tour without a bass player. And it
What
was...
about the drummer? Did he still...
Oh,
he had a
yeah,
drummer?
he's every show, he's like, "Hey, so we got banned for life at the last venue for trying to put a couch." It's a long story. "Can I borrow your snare?" And they're like, usually like, "Okay." All right, that's my hell gig story.
Nice.
Well, any hell gig story I had that was blown out of the water.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a pretty bad
I'm just
one.
gonna be grateful for the gigs I have now. So I guess I'll spin this.
Yep, and then put it next to
The wheel.
very realistic.
Real clicking sounds.
Duh.
Accomplishment in music. I'm trying to think of this. I guess like it's like not a super big accomplishment now, but it's the accomplishment in music that kind of like spurred my like interest in music for years to come is my band that I'm still in now won our high school battle of the bands. And like before then we were just kind of like dicking around in our parents' garages and just being like, "Yeah, this is great," or just like playing like for 15 minutes and then be like, "All right, let's go play video games or something." Yeah. And then we were like, the week of the Battle of the Bands, we rehearsed every night of the week, which I've never done that in a band since. Like the Battle of the Bands was on Friday. We rehearsed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Nice.
Good.
And then like
Do what it takes, right?
Yeah, I think we just like went over forms in between on Friday. So like it's funny because I've never had a band that I've worked that hard for a single gig for. It's usually just like one rehearsal a week. But yeah, we did that. We basically just like invited all of our friends. We were in marching band at the time, so all the band kids came. And it was like voting by text. So we went out, like we were like a brass band. So we played like Win the Saints as our last song. And we marched out of our high school's auditorium.
So badass.
Outside the auditorium, there were TVs recording who got votes. And the voting had just started. So we got to see our votes. Like we like bodied the competition. We were just like,
Yes! That's so awesome.
we're like I love music because I beat people at something.
Because I won.
I don't know, like, I definitely have had way better accomplishments in music, but that was kind of like the big bang of my music career that just like kind of like inspired me to like, oh, this is something that other people actually like me doing as well. So yeah, that's mine.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're still around. Big Wise Brass Band playing at Empire on Tuesday.
Nice. Okay. I will spin the wheel. Where does the sound come out of?
We don't know.
All right.
It's not an instrument.
All right. So I got artists or artists that shaped my music.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many. So many. Probably, you know, if I'm sticking just with bass today, my number one influence was always John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin. And I've talked about this a couple of times before on a couple different platforms, but the biggest thing for him, I remember specifically watching an interview with him where he was talking about how he would get bored on tour playing the same songs over and over again. So every night he would play a song a different way.
That's awesome.
And so that like statement stuck with me, and so I started doing it in the band that I was in and currently in, Moving Panoramas. And so when we went on tour, the bass lines that I wrote for that band weren't anything crazy, and so I was just like, okay, I got to play this completely different every single night. And so with that, I mean, it completely taught me how to really, really know my fretboard, know all my notes, know where I am. And it allowed me to be a little more creative and a little bit more, like I'm having more fun with it. But just as a musician himself, not only was he a bass player, but a keyboard player and a composer. And the way he wrote his lines, made it more than just playing root notes, and actually made it into something that's far more melodic, and which is a cool concept for a rhythm instrument, is playing melody with rhythm. And so, John Paul Jones forever will be my number one musical influence.
I think most people would be very surprised what Led Zeppelin sounds like without that guy's influence.
Oh yeah,
because it's
completely.
like two dudes like ripping and shredding. That's it, and those he really drew all of that stuff together so well.
He did the keys on No Quarter, which is like that. I think that song showed me that he's a really like diverse, like
versatile
multi-instrument.
musician.
Like,
That was my entrance song to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Yeah, No Quarter.
I love that song so
Yeah.
much.
Did you ever hear Tool's cover of No Quarter? That's
No.
one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs too. But Tool has a cover of No Quarter, and
That's
really,
awesome.
I really dig
Killer
it.
to hear.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right,
pretty
Mike,
good.
it's your turn.
All right,
Spin the wheel.
spin this
Of-
wheel
Fortune, misfortune, influence.
of influence.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Let's see.
Kind of expecting Carter to come blasting it every time we said it.
Wheel of influence.
Our mission is to create
Oh, is there an ad in this
There's
app
an ad.
after you spin it 5 times?
Feeling your passion. Let's see. How an
Shut
adopted
that thing
pug.
up. No, tell them no.
Skip
You're like,
it.
I don't want to feel my passion.
Record you couldn't live without. Let's see. Let me think. Not one that's influential, but one I couldn't live without. Or maybe one that's influential would be one I
Like if
couldn't
you could
live
take, if you had to go to a desert island and you were able to take a record player and one record, what record would it be?
without.
And an infinite number of batteries that power that
Yeah.
said thing.
Solar
but don't
powered.
Get off the album.
Yeah, solid powered. But
I was given a hand crank phonograph recently.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
So in this scenario, you have one of those.
yeah.
okay. One of the most influential, records I ever listened to was Anima by Tool, and not only because it introduced me to such an amazing drummer, Danny Carey, but I got introduced to a lot of crazy concepts, and comedians and authors like Timothy Leary and Bill Hicks, and just all these different things that kind of, I think, helped shape who I became. So it was massively influential, and I think I've listened to that album at least 300 or 400 times. So I kind of get obsessive with certain things that I really, really like, and I kind of dissected. I tried to dissect all the things that were going on, and going back and listening to things now, it's interesting how I can just hear more of what Danny Carey's doing, which is really, really cool, and gives me a whole different kind of appreciation. But I guess I'd have to say that one. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. That has been Carter. This has
The
been.
wheel of influence.
Sounds like all. Sounds like all the cut scenes in like a Monty Python movie.
Yes.
Cool. Well, we're going to go into another jam. So at the beginning of this, we asked everyone to be keep this place sacred because we're jamming. To be said again, this is not music that we conspired to make or decided to agree upon. I think there was a moment where I turned to Wyatt and was like, "You okay with A?" And he was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then I think that's about as much planning as we did. This next jam is going to come from a suggestion. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do this in 2 parts. The first part is we're going to get a suggestion from our friend Charles.
Yay!
He didn't know that up until right then. And that suggestion, whatever it ends up being, we're going to take as a jam. We're going to find kind of a groove, and then we're going to back out of it, and then we're going to maybe choose one person's part, something from that jam that one person was playing that they liked, and then reconstruct a new jam around that part in a different way.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Charles, welcome. In my little pamphlet thing that I made, I put an example, a mood, phrase, key, feeling, order of musician entry into the jam, etc.
How about the word vintage?
He suggested the word vintage.
Whoa.
Oh man, okay, so I think we should take a moment and discuss this
Okay.
suggestion.
Okay.
Anybody have something come right, like, oh, I've got it. Has anybody got that?
I could sort of do something that's hard for like a trumpet player to start the jam.
Oh,
But
no, I love that.
Oh no, that'd be kind of badass
Yeah,
if you.
done. Sold.
What key?
I like playing an E or A because then I get to be lazy.
Yeah.
I messed up.
Yeah. Gonna pull everyone out of there.
Yeah, we'll just go forever and ever if we don't.
That was awesome, though. That's great. Really weird place to start. Everyone was like, it was amazing to see both of you come in at this same moment. I was like, where the hell is this going to start? And you both were like, right here.
Yeah.
Right here, yep.
Yes.
That's cool.
Bass and drums.
That was awesome. I love that. Very vintage.
Yeah, I like that, man.
Was that vintage, Charles?
That was vintage.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I used to use my hand as kind of like a plunger mute.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a mixture of like 70s funk and then like 1920s jazz when I started doing the.
I loved it. Do it again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that sound. I love
awesome.
trumpet in general. I mean, I just love the tone of it, the way it feels. You
That's
know,
like the trumpet equivalent of like the doo-doo-ts. That's our like.
That's right.
I am a huge Snarky Puppy fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
And like
Who isn't?
there is some of their brass licks are just like I remember my grandfather's an old guy and he plays piano and he's one of those guys that will sit down and listen to whatever music that you say, Grandpa, this is art nowadays. Would you like to listen to it? And he's like, okay, all right. And I made him listen to I think almost the entire the one before We Like It Here, whatever, the 2 records ago or something, and it made him listen to the whole record. And the guy, he was like, "It's a lot of fast brass work. Is that like?"
Fast brass work.
I was like, "That's what I love,
Fast
Grandpa."
brass work.
Say that 10 times fast.
I like that. Fast brass work.
Fast brass work.
Okay, because this is the thing that I came up with. I had something in my head.
Yeah.
That I
What
thought
did you
about.
do that you liked?
There was the second variation of like an arpeggiated version of what we were doing. I really liked. It was kind of him and I started dancing on it. It was like.
That was a completely different feeling from the first one too.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't think I've ever played with a trumpet player, at least not in a setting that I remember.
Well, we played at the North Door.
Oh, I mean, yeah, when we met Wyatt. Actually, let's take a moment and explain how everybody knows each other.
Oh, yeah.
Wyatt, why don't you explain how your day looked like when you met Mike and I?
So I was literally playing this free week show at the North Door with my friend Alex Alco because I just play like one trumpet song on his album, so I would like come sit in with him occasionally. So I was doing that, and then someone was like, "Hey, there's cool stuff happening in this room," and didn't have anything to do. It was about 30 minutes before our set, so I checked it out, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of like y'all were jamming, and then you were having people from the crowd come up and do like slam poetry or just say what's on their mind.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I didn't have anything verbal to say, so I played a trumpet solo, and history was made. Now we're on a podcast.
That was a pretty killer trumpet solo, man.
Thanks.
That was badass.
Thank you.
It's okay, it's me, don't worry about it.
And I always love live settings like that, improvisational, because you never know what's going to happen. And I had a jam on that beat for like 25 minutes or something like that.
Y'all made it really like fun, even though it was just drums and guitar and like the same groove. It was really cool.
Improvisation and the art of the jam.
Yo.
So, this is the moment of the show where 2 things happen. We talk about what we're doing with our gifts. I feel like I was given a gift to unwind all of the crazy things, snakes that grow in my mind, and make them live on a guitar. That makes me feel very happy. I am starting a podcast. It's this one that we're on. That's what I'm doing with my music.
Wait, another podcast, right?
No.
True.
Damn.
Carter and I have another podcast called The Wheel.
of influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just this one. But that's what I've decided to do with my music. Born out of a period in my life where I didn't know how to keep addressing the music I wanted to write seriously with all of the other things in my life. Like, and needing to focus on many things. And I decided I needed to step back from being in a band, whatever that meant, and try to do music on my own. But then when I tried to do that, I hated not playing music with people, and that really I felt always made me better by jamming with other people, and so this is what I started.
Sweet.
Yep.
Cool.
Mike.
I play drums in a band called Obsolete Machines, and I've been doing that for about 2.5 years, I guess going on 3. And I started playing with the band, like I said, about 2.5, 3 years ago, but I've known Adam and Shanna for almost 9 or 10, so it's, been really good to be in a band with people you've already known previously, and that's been going pretty awesome. We just played a Black Fred event last Saturday, which we're pretty stoked for. Got some new singles that we're going to release this year, which we're pretty excited about.
Nice.
Unreleased material that I think is some of our best work we put out yet. And then I'm also a singer-songwriter. I'm also a mentor with Kids in a New Groove.
That's how Mike and I met.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's how we met. And it's segued into a lot of really cool shit in my life, and I really highly suggest teaching with them if you have the opportunity.
Teaching in general.
Yeah, just teaching in general. I mean,
Makes you get real about what you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how well do you know your shit to explain to a young person? Because you got to really break stuff down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what I'm doing with music.
How do I find do you have any of your personal music online?
Yeah, I've got my music online at Bandcamp.
What is it under?
Mike Hidalgo Music.
Can you spell your last name?
H-I-D.
For all the white people.
H-I-D-A-L-G-O. Mike Hidalgo Music, and my Facebook should come up as well as my Bandcamp page. But for Obsolete Machines, which is a completely different beast, it's obsoletemachines.band.com.
I'll say that Melissa, my wife, and I went and saw, we thought we had the best show lined up for last year's New Year's Eve, and we did. It was at the Empire Control Room, and it had Trouble in the Streets, and Obsolete Machines, and Continental Drift, and Grupo Fantasma,
yeah.
right? Yep.
Yeah.
And Superphonicos.
Superphonicos, right. It was amazing, and we watched Obsolete Machines play indoors, and watched Trouble in the Streets play indoors, and it was just like such an amazing vibe. Every time I've seen Obsolete Machines play, we wake up with a song stuck in our head.
Thank you.
We
awesome.
we begged them to play at our wedding. So they played at our wedding.
It was an honor, man. I loved it. It was such a cool gig.
My family.
To be able to play our music at a wedding.
in front of my family, a bunch of old people.
That was great.
And they're all like, okay, cool. This is a wedding?
And getting to play with Grupo on a bill of Grupo was just like kind of a full circle moment, and I've had a few of those in this band, which has been awesome because I've gone to many Grupo Fantasma shows, and they're some of my favorite musicians in Austin and musicians I admire, and to get to play on a bill with them was really cool, and I really felt pretty good about that.
It's pretty rad.
Felt like a good goal to accomplish after 9 years, 10 years grinding away. So yeah, what about you?
Oh, me. Okay. Well, right now I am playing with a band called Moving Panoramas.
Your name is Rosie.
And I am Rosie. This is Rosie speaking. Yeah, so this is a band that I was actually in a few years ago. Leslie Sisson, the lead singer of the band, was my vocal teacher at the Austin School of Rock when I was 16. And she ended up moving to New York and invited me up there because she was, she's like, I've got these ideas for songs, and I think it would be a lot of fun if you would just come up and be a part of this project. And so I flew up to New York, spent a couple of weeks with her. We did a little bit of recording while we were up there, and then through a series of events, she moved back down here, and we started the band, and we recorded a record. We started doing some live shows, and then we're very fortunate to be approached by a local record label called Modern Outsider.
Awesome.
And so they helped put out our first record, which is called One. And yeah, it was a blast. We did all kinds of fun stuff. We did 2 nationwide tours, and you know, just I had a lot of things going on in my personal life, and so I ended up actually taking a step back from the band. And I was pretty much out of music for like 2 years. Yeah, it was a weird space in my life, and you know, a lot of it I've been doing. You know, I've been playing music and playing music live since I was about 10 or 11, and it had pretty much gone into a full-time, all-the-time thing, and I hate to admit it, but I burnt out on it.
Yeah.
Completely burnt out. Like, I didn't pick up a musical instrument for at least a year and a half. And then I guess this last summer, Leslie reached out to me again and was like, hey, you know, I just want to catch up. See where things are, see how things are going. And so she and I caught up, and we talked about a bunch of things. And then this last October, she reached out to me to come back and play guitar for the band. So it went from a 3-piece where I was playing bass to now it's a 6-piece. And I'm playing guitar for them. And they recorded another record, so that will be coming out February 22nd.
Ooh.
And so we're going to be doing the record release show at Barracuda that night.
Awesome.
Nice.
And, you know, I wasn't on this record, but I still am very proud from what they've done, and I'm very proud to be associated with them. And I'm just excited to kind of see what goes from there. And so yeah, that's kind of the big thing that I'm doing right now. And you know, I've been back and forth with college, and you know, I work a day job too. But I kind of ended up deciding that you know, I really want to do this whole music thing. So thankfully, I've got a wonderful support system, and have just been kind of thrown into it. And yeah, this is what I want to do.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Wyatt?
So what am I doing with music currently? The band that won the Battle of the Bands, Big Wise, we've been going really strong. Like, we played Austin Hot Sauce Festival this year, and we've had this residency at Empire, which is going to be this Tuesday. And just doing with that, but also as a horn player, you get to do a lot of like fun stuff, like being in a lot of bands, but not having to like be super committed to them. So
Yeah.
play horns in Flyjack, which is a kind of like funk group that's been around for a while in Austin, and then this band called Mama Festa, who you may or may have not heard. They're kind of like a jam band, which is a type of music I never really appreciated, except for like the Grateful Dead until I joined them. But it's been really fun. I've gotten to like play ACL with them and play Mohawk Outdoors with them. And
Cool.
that's been really fun. And then I guess like to answer the question, the goal of my music is just to be like help you be yourself, like regardless of what type of person you are. Like, I want you to be like accepting of yourself with my music, and that could be like also by like I've gotten to teach some master classes or like teach people. Like, I got to play jazz festival in Guatemala and Costa Rica, and at that we got to teach students there, and like we had a translator, but we still like connected with those kids and helped them become better at their instruments. So I guess just like I never want my music to ever make someone feel bad about themselves. Like, I want them to feel good about themselves.
You know, that there is a
point.
piece of creative expression, you know, that is very much the push of this idea, and it is that it helps. It really does. You know, I don't know. I can't attest for anybody else's mind, but the way the mind works is that it gets worried about everything attached to my life, which is everything in my world, and it builds up, and it's hard to deal with. It's hard to figure out how to make good decisions. It's hard to be okay with the bad decisions you end up making. And, you know, I found that creative expression and being able to work and be better at something and then share that with somebody else and get some positive feedback from that, you know, that is a huge part of being okay. And it's a large part of kind of the origin of this podcast was, you know, I don't know, I started playing, teaching with Kids in a Groove because in the moment where I was saying, I don't know if I'm ready to go back and be in a band, you know, I had this big pang of guilt about what am I doing then, you know, and are you going to lose it? And I had a very scary accident where I got cut really bad and had to stop playing music for a period of time. And, you know, although a different place, totally different circumstances, you know, there was something like in it that drew me back out, you know, and,
Yeah.
and for me it was being okay. It was like, straight up, it's just like being okay, and I think, you know, something that I think you would agree with in that story, and Mike, you know, and you as well, Rosie, but that it somehow helps, you know, it really does. I watch kids that get to learn even the very first thing, you know, we did like a thing with an organization where we were going in and just bringing some instruments, and it was just like,
Yeah.
come and play music for the kids, and it's
Yeah.
one of those things where you're walking up to an office building and you're like, oh hey, and the guy's like carrying a djembe. He's like, what are we doing? I'm like, I don't know. I think we're just gonna play music, you know. And but then you hand a kid a bass guitar, you know, and you watch him start like getting something, anything, and
Yeah.
you watch him progress a little bit, or that person progress a little bit, and you see. It's a confidence that you don't normally get to have, you know,
Yeah.
and that's worth a lot in a society that is constantly trying to beat the shit out of you. So
I mean, it definitely,
Yeah.
music can be a lifeline and really a powerful force in young people's lives, but older people's lives as well. I mean, I didn't start really drumming till later in life, but it's been life-changing, and I really do think it does bring out a degree of positivity. Like you were saying, you know, you want your music to affect people positively. You went to a different country, taught people who didn't speak your language, but they understood music,
Yeah.
and it's a universal thing all across the world. And no matter what specific shape the music of that particular region takes, everybody can usually feel it, you know?
Yeah.
Even if they don't understand it, they can
Yeah.
kind of feel what they're trying to convey. And I think music should be basically more promoted across schools all over this country. I really think it's a coping mechanism for a lot of people.
it forces
And-
you to be on the same page with people too. You
Yeah.
know, like if you're in a band with if you're in an orchestra and there's somebody that you don't really get along with, but they're like keeping it held down and helping the thing go forward, it starts putting points in the bank of like, be okay with other people and their
Yeah,
differences.
they can
Yeah.
heal relationships too. You know,
Yeah.
especially, you know, bands are not easy, and especially when you are out on the road, when you're away from home, when it's stressful, no one's getting any good sleep. Tensions can run high, but you know, if you can every night do a performance well together, it really, I've personally had it heal relationships for me.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's amazing that this concept has such power to it.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people have just coined the phrase that, you know, music saved my life, music saved my life, whether it be them playing music or it being them listening to music, taking the message that someone has given and internalizing it and relating to it. It's something that, you know, there's so many different forms of art and forms of creativity, but it's something that I think everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone clap. Everyone knows when they're not clapping right.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's true. It's true.
All right, we got one more jam. It's going to be a shorter one or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Really.
Jam forever.
Yay!
It's called A Jam to Be Different.
Uh-oh.
And this is just one to challenge ourselves. And you know, and we can do several different things. We could trade instruments. We could, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do that differently.
I can play guitar and bass, so I could do one of those.
I can play guitar and drums.
I can do guitar.
Sorry, I got the weird instrument.
No, it's all
Guitar.
right.
Someone could just blow into
Or
it.
vocals. Is there vocals?
I could try.
Wait.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
Trumpet mic. Sing into the trumpet mic.
This is the song of singing about the song.
Yeah.
Here, I will gladly give this up.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll gladly give this up. All right, let's do something weird.
All right.
Let's get
You
weird
wanna
in here.
do guitar? You want to try
Take this.
bass?
Why don't you try bass?
I
You
can-
try drums.
Okay,
And then I can't do trumpet,
you can sing.
but I can
Spoken word.
I can do
Sing a
spoken
song.
word. I just
Mike, you're wonderful. Here, you take that. All
Sing
right.
us a song.
All right. I'll try to do something.
This has been the Sound Wizards podcast.
Yeah, let me tell you what we got today. We got some crazy people
Do another.